proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast, Season 2, Episode 39. I suppose before we start, we'd like to pass on our deepest condolences to the friends and family of Rosemary Smith. Like, she had an amazing life, and what an ambassador for rallying, not even just females in rallying, but just rallying in general. Like, she was a beacon, you know, right from the early days of rallying in Ireland.
Oh, Kevin, look, she was just amazing. An absolute ambassador for the sport, represented Ireland on the world stage, and just an incredible lady. And what she's done for Irish rallying, but also encouraging women to get involved in the sport as well.
For sure. You know, right up to the last couple of years, she was, you know, she has met up with, you know, Aoife Raftery, Sarah McFadden, you know, Grace O'Brien, all those, you know, and encouraging them to get involved. And like, she was doing stuff back in the, you know, the 60s, the 70s that, you know, it was just groundbreaking at the time. But she couldn't see why she couldn't do it. If a man can do it, she could do it. And like, she was getting top results right across the world.
She was, you know, and she faced discrimination because of her sex, you know, in the sport, and you know, fought against it, overcame it, and you know, certainly didn't lie down quietly. Just amazing, you know, what she's done in rallying. And then, you know, not too many years ago, she competed, or didn't compete, sorry, but she tested in a Formula One car, like in her 80s. Just incredible.
Ah, yeah, what a lady, what a lady. Like, so, Rosemary, rest in peace. And as well, like last week, you know, with our recording times and one thing and another, we missed out on the announcement of the Billy Coleman Award, one or two. Connor, brilliant to see, you know, Jack getting that award. Like, it's going to propel him on to the next level. But not only him, you know, all those people are nominated this year. This is life changing.
Oh, it is like the support MIRallyAcademy, you know, provides them, and I know we you know, most weeks we have something to say, and it's all positive because the work, it's groundbreaking what they're doing. But all the nominees for the Billy Coleman Award, they're all now going to be supported by the Academy. You know, and we've seen, you know, previous winners come on leaps and bounds, and where they've gone to and what they've been able to achieve with the support of the Academy, and I suppose the boost that this gives them.
For sure. And like Keelan Grogan and Craig Rahal, you know, you know, they were in the mix for the overall award as well too. Like, this is going to change their trajectory of where they're going to go in the sport as well.
Absolutely, it is, and again, you know, gives them something to aim for next year as well. You know, they've had a taste of what's involved. They've seen what, you know, you need to do to win the prize, and certainly it's something that they can aim for again, you know, next year.
That's for sure. And another very proud thing that happened at the weekend just passed there. William Crichton and Liam Regan and Bacau picking up the FIA JWRC title. Like, you know, we look at that awards and, you know, we dream, we see, you know, the cream of the world rally and the F1 champion, world rally champions, world rally cars on the stage. And there was our two guys there in the middle of it all.
Absolutely. Listen, it was great to see Motorsport Ireland represented, and you know, Liam and William rubbing shoulders with Thierry Neuville and what do you call it, Max Verstappen, and many others, you know, from the world of motorsport. I suppose it's incredible to think, you know, our guys were there.
Yeah, and like, you know, not only there, but they, you know, William spoke so well. You know, he is a real ambassador for the sport here in Ireland. That we've been speaking to him now for the last 2 years now in the podcast, and the way he has developed, he has become a real, you know, a real, like, look at that guy there. That's what you want to emulate. This, you know, this is what can be achieved.
He is. He's a role model. He definitely is a role model in the sport. For the if you think of the youngsters coming through the J1000s now, and those that will be new to the sport next year, it's somebody to emulate here and aim for. Where Will has gotten to, and he's still only at the start of his rallying career. There's many years ahead of him.
That's for sure. That is for sure. And I suppose what do we say? The World Championship, there's a possibility of coming back, and we get to hear these rumours the same as everybody else. And we thought, who better to ask than Motorsport Ireland Rally President Aiden Harper, and that's we'll hear from him and get his thoughts on where we're at with that whole thing.
Oh, look, it's an exciting story. Everybody's got fingers, toes, and legs crossed, hoping it gets over the line. Looks like we're pretty close. So let's hope all the ducks are in a row, and it's something that does happen.
That's for sure. That's for sure. They have it narrowed down now to 3 areas that the rally will be based out of, and that's going to be announced in the next couple of weeks, hopefully as well too. So that looks very positive. And also, I suppose in this show we also catch up with them is Jamie McMillan from Msport. He gives us a kind of a wrap up on how he's felt the year's hunt for himself in Msport. And then finally, Aoife Raftery has been telling us about her latest adventures as well. She's been away in Spain and doing events out there and all too. So her career's progressing at a rapid speed as well too. But I think first of all we'll hear from Aiden Harper. Aiden Harper, we're hearing great things about the WRC returning to Ireland in the near future. But we're hearing a lot of stories, a lot of rumours. So we thought we'd get you on to sort of maybe put a wee bit of bones to what we're hearing. What can we say? 2025, is there something happening possibly?
Well, Kevin, hopefully, yeah, something will happen in 2025. Look, I don't think it's any secret now at this stage that we are well advanced in our bid for a return of the WRC Championship to Ireland. 2007, 2009 was our last rounds, and we haven't been in that space for a long time, and it was my feeling as president that we needed to get back into the WRC space. So we opened negotiations some time back, and we're in a positive position now for a return, hopefully in 2025.
Excellent. And we seen last week you announced 3 areas that's under consideration for the main hub, I suppose, would be the way of putting it. So things are progressing.
Yeah, I mean the heartbeat of any WRC, as anybody will know, is the service park and the location of that service park. So we were very transparent from the start with all of our clubs. All of the clubs were written to come forward with areas that they could identify within their counties, etc., of where the service park could be based. The minimum criteria was 10,000 square meters of solid footing. Unfortunately, some clubs didn't meet that at all because the area just wasn't there. Other clubs did, and then we went into a series of knockout rounds where clubs were met, criteria was ticked off against, etc. And now we're down to 3 areas really that have been identified as very good possible service parks for WRC 2025.
Excellent. And that, it's so exciting to hear, such positive vibes coming out. And the WRC now has become such a big machine. It probably takes a more ground to hold it. It's not that you can't, Sligo IT was ideal back in 07, 09, but the whole thing has progressed since then.
Absolutely, it's turned into an incredible machine, as you say. Anyone who's visited a WRC park lately in the last year will realize how big of an operation that park is, because then adjacent to the park you've got the media center. So not only have you 10,000 square meters of solid ground for the teams to set up, and that becomes their home for up to 12 days. So we're looking for an area of ground for at least 2 weeks, because obviously all the ancillary services have to be brought in, facilities, water, electricity, etc. But then we have a media center to build, a media center to hold up to 200 media people who will come from all over the world, and that will be their home for at least 10 days of the event. So you've got the service park, you've got the media center, and you also have a medical center. So when you put all of that together into a melting pot, it's a large piece of ground that needs to be available, and that piece of ground would come hopefully with the dwellings and the buildings around it that would house those items I just spoke about.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like, you know, we look at, you know, the WRC Live and the way that is to help to develop the WRC as well. And like, you can only but imagine like helicopter views of, you know, wherever that area will be. We all know how beautiful Ireland is. To get it shown off to a global audience in this way, like it has to help your job to sell this to government or whatever. Then.
Look, absolutely, Kevin. I mean, one of the main items of WRC is, I suppose, the live TV piece. And they're looking for very scenic backgrounds. They're looking for coastal stages. They're looking for stages with large mountains and areas of beauty. And look, we can provide that all over Ireland. There's no doubt about it. We are the Emerald Isle. We have the Ancient East. We have the Wild Atlantic Way. So we have all these items. A lot of other sports showcase these areas, but none more so than what WRC can do. We're all aware of the live stages, the helicopter images of the cars traveling adjacent to the coastlines with the WRC cars live on stages, and that alone and what it can bring, it brings me back to Sligo. WRC in Sligo and Mullaghmore, and those incredible scenes from the WRC helicopter as the cars made their way along the stage in Mullaghmore, with Ben Bulben as a backdrop as well. Incredible scenes for people all around the world. There's no doubt that the WRC promoter wants to return to Ireland. The teams want to return to Ireland. They really enjoyed themselves when they were here. And for an asphalt around, this is where they want to come.
Yeah, because you know, we think back to 07 and 09, and you know, the event was being voted as one of, you know, the best organised, you know, the most, you know, the most enjoyable events and all too. Like, so, and as you said earlier, we have the capability of running this here. Like, we're no longer, you know, the also runs. We are leading the way.
100% we're leading the way, and look, it's important wherever the event goes, and whoever ends up hosting the service park. This is an all Ireland approach. This is all motor clubs to come on board to help, and everyone we've met so far as part of the elimination rounds. Everybody is aware of that. Everybody knows, whether it goes to the East Coast, the West Coast, the South Coast, wherever it goes, that it will take a whole country to come on board to deliver this. This isn't something can be delivered by one or two motor clubs. This is an amalgamation of all our great strengths here in Ireland, and we have some incredible great strengths in the country. But once we get ourselves anchored, once we know where it's going, we will then be able to start putting the jigsaw together with all the other logistics that goes on around it.
Yeah, you know, like you just said there, like there's so many great people involved in the Irish rallying, and to have them all, you know, thrown in together in the one melting pot, you can only imagine the fantastic results that they're going to produce.
Absolutely, the knowledge is absolutely incredible, and we have so much tradition and knowledge here in this country. It's unreal. One thing we will have to do is we will have to host a candidate stage of a WRC before we're actually allowed to have a full WRC. So some event somewhere in Ireland in 2024. Should we be successful for our 2025 bid, we will have to run a stage as per the WRC requirements. So that's probably a 28-kilometer stage set up fully to WRC standards. FIA will send in an observer to ensure that we have that we will run it to that standard, and then that we're capable of running all 18, 20 or 22 stages, whatever comes out in 2025, should we be successful. But some event somewhere will be asked to run one of those stages, which will be challenging, but will also be a great, I suppose, insight to WRC for a lot of clubs and organisations who really don't know much about it. So that will be exciting for some clubs somewhere during the year.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Because we've seen recently, like Killarney running the night stage, you know, and like we've seen, you know, there's a whole lot more work involved in that there. But you know, the club was prepared to do that, put in the hard yards, and I think it really paid off in spades for them.
It did. Killarney Historic was an incredible event. Running the night stage, you know, speaking to people who watched the cars going through, it was historic for them, really. Incredible moments, amazing photographs that were taken as well, and then the thrill for the drivers who take place. The reward after their whole day's rallying was going into the night stage, putting on the light pods, coming out in the final services, and heading into that stage. Incredible excitement and a great spectacle. I was talking to a couple of tourists who happened to be in Killarney that weekend, who didn't know anything about the rally being on, and they said that they had got a taxi out to watch the night stage because they knew no other way to get out, and they said they'd never seen anything like it in their lives. It was just incredible to see these light beams coming down the road, the roars of the engines, and the excitement of the spectators. So and they were people who never intended to even go near a rally or didn't even know the rally was on in Killarney at the weekend. So if you're getting comments like that from people, you know the standard that we're running to here.
For sure. And that also takes me back to 07, 09 again. There was people out following the Rally Ireland at that time that hadn't maybe went to a rally, since the 80s, or maybe never been before at all. And this is what this could bring to Ireland again, is, people who maybe aren't familiar with what's going on week in, week out, getting out there and getting the chance to experience what we're getting the chance to experience every 2 or 3 weeks.
Absolutely, Kevin. And my vision for Rally Ireland 25, 6 and 7 is that I would like to bring the final stage each day, be it a kilometre or a 1.5 stage, into a festival village, as the case may be. So wherever we are finishing our day up on over the 3 days, that the nearest village to that will turn into a rally festival village. And we will give back to the community what the community are giving us in help, and have that stage, that last sprint stage, each evening running very, very close with local communities. And can you imagine what spectacle that will be, to bring 10,000 people to a small village to watch this? Can you imagine the excitement in the village, the buy-in from the people, and bringing life back to certain areas of the country that there may not have been life in for years? So there's lots of new thinking around this WRC, and we certainly have a sketch pad where we're giving a certain amount of creativity when it comes to planning. We look back to Stormont when it ran there. We look at the iconic bridge and the crossover. So we're already looking at where we will put that incredible spectator stage, the head-to-head stage, where that will take place. And with all the new thinking that's out there and all the available areas, I think it's going to be extremely exciting.
For sure. You're even putting the hairs up in my arm even thinking of it. And I'm thinking Donegal Town 09, there's still clips of that goes around the internet, like Chris Meek in the metro, like Loeb sliding past the Abbey Hotel. Those are iconic moments to this day, and your plans will hopefully create new iconic moments going forward.
Yeah, I suppose when you look back to those Donegal Town and various things like that, did people really know what WRC was back then? There was rally cars coming into a town. Now a lot of people knows what WRC is, certainly more than was back then. So I can only imagine the influx of spectators from abroad. And as the promoter has said to us, we're just a hop over from the UK, who's only a hop over from Europe. So it makes us so accessible for people to come into the country. And also with our road infrastructures now within our country, it makes every corner of this country accessible. So wherever the service park lands and wherever the stages should be chosen then coming out of that service park, be they 50, 100, 150, 200 kilometers away, they're all going to be quite accessible. And I'm sure that there will be huge crowds.
Yeah, for sure. That's just, you're thinking, Ryanair has made Ireland so open right across Europe. The motorway system here, 3-4 hours you can almost go from, the middle of the country to either end, so the world's your oyster.
Absolutely, and so many airports and ports for the teams to come in, because that's another part of it as well. When the teams are looking, and the teams have a large say into where the WRCs go again. But again, they look at Ireland, Dublin Airport, Shannon Airport, Knock Airport, Cork Airport, everything very accessible. Private jets to land in Waterford Airport, ports then of Cork, ports of Dublin, Limerick Port, etc. All of these making the whole country very accessible to us. There's nowhere any more than 3.5 hours at a push to get to anywhere. So accessibility is a key factor for the teams and for the promoter, and we have that.
Yeah, for sure. And then I suppose moving on slightly, The MI Rally Academy has really put the spotlight on, all the good coming out of the country at the moment, and like that, I'm imagining that has helped to sell, the idea of bringing the World Championship back as well, because this is world leading what we're providing.
It is. We're only one of two ASNs around the world that are actually providing an academy. And when you go to a service park, you go to one of the service parks now, and you see, for anyone who has seen the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy service barge, within the main frame, because there's different frames within the service park. The academy has now got a footprint within the main frame, and that's because the promoter, the WRC promoter, has seen what the ASN, what Motorsport Ireland, what John Coyne, etc., has been doing for motorsport in Ireland, what's been doing for young drivers, and has elevated the academy into the main frame. I mean, you take Monte Carlo WRC last year. As you walked your way down the service park, you had Hyundai, you had Ford, and lo and behold, you had the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy next to them. You go to other service parks, and it's the very same. And when I travel to other ASNs, when I visit other presidents in other countries, they're talking about our Rally Academy. They're talking about the success of it. The French ran a Rally Academy many, many years ago and has been quite successful. And we are more successful now than them. And the name Motorsport Ireland is a renowned name within any service park, or within certainly a lot of spectators who are around Europe and who are following rallies at the moment.
For sure. How good does that make you feel to walk through somewhere like Monte Carlo and see, Motorsport Ireland flag flying front and centre?
It makes me extremely proud. I'm proud for the academy. I'm proud for Motorsport Ireland. I'm proud for everything that we do. You're walking down a paddock, and there are the flags flying high. There's the banners at the front of the MI service barge with Motorsport Ireland. There's the cars with the livery going around with Motorsport Ireland on it. It's extremely proud. And again, all of this, really down as well to John Coyne and what he has put in to the Rally Academy, his commitment. And as he says, he is on a mission to find the next WRC winner within the next 10 years. That's where John wants his guys and girls to be. So, and I believe that will happen as well, especially with the upcoming stars that we have at the moment.
For sure, because there's such a depth of talent. And the other thing is, this is filtering right down through. The co-drivers is going to the academy, and some of the drivers, they're going competing, in the Tarmac Championship or the national rounds, and they're bringing what they've learned right down through. This isn't just for the elite. This is going to filter right down through to grassroots.
Absolutely, down to grassroots. I mean, you look at the J1000s. You look at all those young boys and girls who are coming up through. You look at the recent winner of the Billy Coleman Award. It's all grassroots material, and it's a stepping stone. This is putting people on the stage, and we want to put them on the world stage. It's great to be on the stage at home, doing the iconic rallies here, but there's nothing any better than going abroad and doing rallies around Europe. But this is a major stepping stone for them.
Yeah, the Junior 1000 is the ideal thing. Wal Crichton only 10 years ago, started out in the Junior 1000. This year, world champion. The step ladder's there for the people who want to put in the work and the dedication for it.
Absolutely. If you want to do it, you will get there. And the guys certainly have showed that. Obviously other people as well. But William and Liam have had an incredible year, winning JWRC. I'm only back from Baku, where the FIA General Assembly took place, where all presidents from around the world join for a couple of days of think tanking, and also in relation to voting on certain elements for next year. And then that culminates then in the prize giving on the Friday night and Saturday for the various items. So on Saturday, we had the rally and circuit prize giving, and it was an extremely proud moment to see William and Liam walk up onto the stage to receive their FIA awards. Absolutely very proud moment for me, but an extremely proud moment for for William's mom and dad as well, who have put so much into William to get him to where he is today. And those are the dreams that we live for. Those are the times when we see them lifting the accolades high. the smiles on their faces and being interviewed on a world stage, it's very, very powerful.
For sure. And like not only great drivers, but great lads as well. You know, the personality they have as well. Like they are like for young people, they are a real credit to not only their families, but us as a sport as well.
They're ambassadors for us, to be honest with you. A lot of the training that they go through in the academy, helps them with self-delivery, communication skills, etc. And you can see that. You can see people coming through the academy and maturing in that way. But these guys are ambassadors, and we've got great girls coming up as well. We've Aoife Raftery, making our way up through the tree at the moment. Incredible ambassadors for our sport here, and some people we should be very proud of.
For sure, for sure. And like, as much as we have to celebrate all the good news, there's been some bad, bad news this year as well too, and there's been some disappointment. And like, I suppose it's this time of the year, it's always difficult, and I suppose we have to remember those as well.
We do, of course. I mean, we've had 4 Motorsport Ireland licence holders who tragically have lost their lives while doing something that they completely love. It's been a very tough year for Motorsport Ireland, and for the rally discipline in general. But as a motorsport family, we rallied around ourselves, and we're strong when we do that, and we're there to support each other when times are tough. No one can say that these 4 people who lost their lives through our sport lost it in a way doing something that they didn't like. They absolutely loved what they did, and it was just so tragic in our sport this year. We've had some years of no fatalities whatsoever, and now we've had a spate of them in 1 year. So hoping 2024 will be a better year for everybody all around. But we will never forget the great people who we've lost this year within our sport. And I suppose not only competitors, we've lost incredible icons within our sport. I'm not going to name anyone in particular, but everybody will know who we're talking about because the list is so long. But this year has been a really tough year for motorsport, for competitors and officials, organisers, and long-term stalwarts of the sport.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But you mentioned something there. The way the rally family, the way they pull together, the way that they conduct themselves around any of these events and all them too. Like, it's an absolute credit to all involved.
Absolutely. Some of the plans and organisational items that went in place around the family supports, the organising of the various funerals, etc., the logistics. It was all time scheduled. It was people working so hard into the late nights and early mornings, ensuring that there was firm footing for people to walk on, that there was parking provided close to family houses. All of those things were all done by the rally family. And again, when we're down, we are very, very strong together.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And like, I suppose like if the positive can come out of this, Craig's family want his involvement with the Junior 1000 to continue as well too, and like, what a lovely way to mark his legacy.
Absolutely, the foundation has just been launched, which is an incredible way to launch his legacy, and we look forward to some great news to come out of that in the near future. And also, Craig has been enrolled as well on the Motorsport Ireland Hall of Fame, which happened at a reward ceremony just a week ago now. And that was a very proud moment for me as the president to induct Craig into the Hall of Fame, and to have Craig's sister Kelly join me on stage and unveil the actual Hall of Fame plaque, which will be displayed in Dawson Street. There was an air of, I suppose, sadness, but excitement at that moment as we all remembered the great Craig Breen. But his name now lives on and will live on in the Hollow Halls of Motorsport Ireland in Dawson Street. And last Wednesday was really powerful. Craig's family were there, his friends and very, very close friends. So a great day, but a great way to ensure that Craig's name lives on in all that we do.
For sure, and like, I suppose we have to look forward to 2024, and like, in general, rallying in Ireland's in a good place. Like, we're looking at the Tarmac Championship. The overall battle has just gone unbelievably tight now. Like, we've often said, you can't like, miss a gear, run wide at a corner, You could lose a rally. The historic championship is just going from strength to strength, and the national rounds, with the rotational system in place now, they're oversubscribed entries. So like, a lot of positives out there at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of positives for next year. I hear a lot of new cars being invested in right now, and over the next couple of weeks, getting ready for the start next year. Rallying is strong. Entries are very, very strong. We can see the reserve lists now are building and building, event on event. Certainly, the 2-year calendar has helped. It's helped give organisers, officials, competitors, and suppliers a rest as well, rather than being out every weekend. They're out every second weekend or third weekend now, as the case may be. But rallying is strong, and a lot of our disciplines are strong. Motorsport Ireland is in a strong place at the moment as we head into 2024. And I look forward to a really a strong year in there. Look forward to receiving news of a successful bid being completed for WRC. And we'll certainly celebrate when that day comes. But then the hard work begins to deliver it, and to ensure we deliver to the best of our abilities in 2025, because we're going for a 3-year deal for WRC, 25, 26, and 27. So securing that for 3 years will be an incredible feat for the country, because, as I say, it's the country that will run it. And really looking forward for when we receive that news from the government.
For sure, and like, as you said earlier, like this is not one person who'll make this happen. This is every guy that wants to get behind the wheel of a rally car, guys that get behind the wheel, ladies that go out and marshal or do time controls or whatever it'll be. Everybody will be involved. Everybody will make this happen.
Absolutely, there'll be a call for all support in all areas. The management team that will run the event will then assign the various tasks to everybody, and we've a great lead in time. We're looking at August/September 2025, so we still have 20 months of planning, etc., to deliver the event. So it will be all hands on deck, and I'm very positive that we will deliver it. And again, all of this is caveated by us receiving the funding from the government. We hope to make our final decision on where the event will go in the next 10 days. There are site visits now planned for next week to the 3 areas to go through the final tick box items, and then we'll be able to announce where it will actually go.
So thanks there to the president of Motorsport Ireland, Aiden Harper, there for taking the time to join us. It was an absolute pleasure. And what can we say? Fingers crossed in the whole WRC thing and all that too, and how positive the whole rallying's looking as well too. But Connor, speaking of WRC, you got a chance to catch up with Jamie McMillan from Msport.
Yeah, look, Jamie's been touching base with us throughout the year, keeping us updated on what's happening with Msport and how the Puma was developing, and I suppose Itanic's challenge for the WRC drivers title this year, which didn't come to pass for them. So we thought it was a good chance at the end of the year, once Japan was over, get Jamie to wrap it up and fill us in on I suppose where they're at, where the Puma's at now, and I suppose what the plans are going forward, not just for Msport but for Jamie himself. Jamie, thanks for joining us. You've been very good all year, keeping us up to date with what's been going on. So I thought, perfect opportunity. We're at the end of the 2023 WRC season. Chance to ask you, how was the year?
I guess in one word, you could probably call it mixed. I think it certainly had its moments that were very challenging and tricky, and testing. But then there were certainly elements of the season that were really, really positive, and the whole team were very happy with certain achievements. But ultimately, it was a season that didn't quite go as far as we would have liked in terms of fighting for the championship and fighting for victories on more events. But yeah, I think it was still nice to see throughout the season that the Puma has got pace and in pretty much every event, and it was just a matter of everything falling into place, which ultimately this season it didn't. And I think quite a lot of that was also down to certain small factors that ended up being a much bigger challenge and dropping big chunks of points, where you really can't do that if you want to put a championship challenge together, especially whenever it was right at the sharp end throughout the season, and maybe Pierre Louis would have been at the sharp end in certain events, but when you've got that one car that you really pushing to fight for the championship, everything has to be right on that car for the whole season for it to work. I think the other guys, there's a little bit less. Well, I can't say less pressure, but whenever you're running with 2 or 3 cars at the front on every event, maybe one car can have a bit of a struggle, but they're still going to be putting podiums or wins together with their other drivers in the lineup. So we fell foul of that a little bit this year, but ultimately, yeah, the reliability stuff was the things that maybe let us down, certainly in that middle part of the season. But still, I think we were able to show, a reasonably small team fighting at the sharp end and putting a couple of victories on there, and having a decent challenge. Still we were leading the championship, after the first few events, which was nice. And yeah, just still frustrating not to be able to get more wins and more good days in 2023. But yeah, things will move on and move forward into the new season as they always do.
Yeah, I suppose it is very hard to mount a challenge for a championship with 2 drivers, and I suppose Pierre Louis still, he's still learning. He's not there fully yet, so he's not able to take points always off the Tannock's rivals, and also when you don't have that third car, you're not taking points there, or you're not getting up to take other podiums, etc. as well to help the lead driver. So I suppose that is tough. And you mentioned you had the couple of wins. You had Sweden, you had Chile. 2 very contrasting environments for the Puma to win in, and 2 tough environments as well. So it's funny how it proved itself in the really harsh conditions.
Yeah, exactly. And even on tarmac events as well, we proved the car was quick there too. So we've won stages on every surface, and I think it's just a matter of little things happened at the wrong times as well. So maybe we would have an issue on a Friday afternoon, which would then affect our road position on a Saturday, and then you're struggling for the whole weekend. Whereas if maybe a small issue had happened on a Saturday afternoon when you'd already built maybe a lead, or you already had a good road position sorted for the next day, you're not in that position where it's really crucial and pivotal moments that end up costing you big chunks of time further down the line. So it's as you say, without the sort of a whole plethora of drivers pushing at the front, which we're not in a position to have, and that's not going to change either overnight. It's difficult to put together the full package and to fight for those championships. I also think that it's something maybe he wouldn't set himself, but ultimately having somebody in the car who's also pushing him on and beating him in stages, whenever they're both fighting side by side, that also takes any competitor to another level too. So that's all. It's all part of it, but it's easy to say all these things with hindsight and looking back in the season. And I think if a few key timings had changed a little bit through the season, then we might have been looking at it very, very differently.
And you mentioned those couple of highs there, Sweden and Chile, and other solid results on. But then when things don't go to plan or don't work out, how do you suppose keep everybody around you motivated?
To be honest, I think certainly the first half of the year we were always, fully motivated, and well, to be honest, through the whole season, I can't fault anybody in the team's motivation at all, and that certainly goes to Oit as well. It goes right up to the very top level and right down to every mechanic, no question. But
I probably used the wrong word, maybe not motivation, but more morale. I suppose keeping the morale up is what I meant. Yeah,
exactly. And I think when it's there in black and white, I think up until the midpoint of the season, we were still doing better points wise than it had been the previous season or in many previous seasons up to that point. So, we were always keeping tallies of where we were at compared to previous years, and even after a few bad results, we could still see how 1 or 2 good results, and very quickly the tide would turn, and we would still be able to fight right at the sharp end. And so every event you're constantly sort of waiting for that good moment and that big points haul, and maybe a few of the other guys to fall, and then you're right back in the mix. And I think it's natural and easy for that to come and to be motivated by that. I think it didn't take too much effort for any of the guys. Ultimately we're all in the business of motorsport, and we're all here for a reason, because we are competitive and we're constantly, looking and checking the points and seeing what's going on with everybody else and where are we compared with the other guys. So yeah, I certainly didn't find it difficult to be motivated. And then unfortunately, once you realize that the title challenge is a little bit of, too far of a stretch, then you start focusing on just winning individual events and trying to get back in the top step of the podium, and you just shift your focus a little bit from maybe in those positions in Chile or Central Europe, you'd have settled for something a little bit less. But whenever you know that you're not ultimately going to win the championship, you can take a few more risks. Ultimately, potentially like the tire choice in Chile, we had nothing to lose either. So you can be a little bit more comfortable taking risks whenever you don't have a championship to sort of hanging over you to make sure you can't drop points in those situations. So yeah, the focus just shifts a little bit, and then you're motivated on an event by event basis, and it's still winning an event at this level is no mean feat. So you just have to constantly try and gather the troops up and make sure everybody's pushing in the same direction. And it's a constant development and constant push from people personally, personal development as well, and trying to keep yourself fighting right at the sharp end, no matter, never letting your standards drop. And I think that's, it's the same for everybody at Msport, from mechanics to the engineers to the, admin, PR, media, top level management. I think that's just how you have to take it. And I think we did that right throughout the season.
And when you were at that stage where it was more an event by event basis, and you're doing everything to win those rallies, is the focus fully on that, or do you start thinking of next year? Are you looking at trying settings, setups, trying different things, even with a view to developing the car for next year?
There are elements of that, yes, but I think in this specific instance, whenever it came out reasonably early that Oit was not going to be with us next season, then for him and for our partnership, it was very much, trying to get wins in the board, because he knew, he's already developed the car to suit his style quite a lot throughout the year, and we have pushed very hard for that to get him a car that was more suited to how he wanted to drive. But ultimately that was a little bit different, or quite a lot different, to how it was driven with the guys last year, certainly the settings on the car. So there was no guarantees that if we were trying to keep changing things to find something that worked for him at this late stage, that it would necessarily carry forward or develop in the right direction for next year either. So it was very much about making do with what the car was towards the back end of the year for as good as possible for him, and trying to put some good results on the board. And
in that situation where the car has moved towards him, and we would have heard similar stories coming out about the Hyundai's more towards Thierry, etc. When you then in the situation now where Oit's going or has gone, and you're going to have a new cruise coming in, do you dial the car back, or do you start with where Oit left it and the new cruise adapt or change it?
It's a good question, and it's a little bit of a combination of both of those things. So some things that we've homologated throughout this season, we made sure that we weren't eliminating a setup from what we can achieve. So with all our options, we can still go back, very closely, maybe not exactly, but we're very close to where we could have been last season. So that was always in our mind whenever we were doing the development steps, that we weren't going to just completely leave everything that we learned in 2022 and in the development season by the side and fully develop it and go down a path that maybe wouldn't suit every driver. So we still have those setups in our back pocket, let's say, that we can use moving forward. And I think you take it a little bit on an event by event basis. I think certain events, you can put a car that we know was quick in Oit's setup onto the car and say, look, this is what we think is the fastest option. Oit's been able to prove that, and then you let the driver try and get a feel for that. But you need to be prepared at some point if it's not comfortable that you go back and you have another, let's say, a B setup or a previous setup that's worked for them in the past, or that we know was a little bit maybe of a wider window to put in and try. And yeah, I think every event will be a little bit different, and there's some elements that Oich worked on throughout the season with us that we know are purely performance improvements and will work for everybody. But then, yeah, there's other elements that are definitely driver preference or very dependent on driver style.
Like, how different is the car from this time last year?
Lots of little changes, I guess. I think a lot of stuff was Oid specific, even just in terms of what's interior wise, it can all be very easily swapped back. That isn't big fundamental changes. But I would say, okay, it's also tricky because you've got a gravel setup, a tarmac setup, and potentially a snow setup. So ultimately, nothing in terms of the setup stuff that we can play with. I would say nothing is bolt on the exact same as it was, previously. So what we'd probably call our base setup on tarmac, gravel, and on a snow event, all of those will have changed 100% to sit out. None of them then bolt-on setups could just be bolted on now, and Oit would say that it was his best setup for the Puma. That's definitely not the case, they've changed to varying degrees, some quite a lot, with various different geometry options. Definitely our differential ramps are now a different set of homologation in there too. So yeah, all the little things have changed. Dampers have been constantly developing and evolving throughout the season as well on all of those surfaces. So yeah, I think that the car from where it was 12 months ago, certainly specifically for Oit, is a good step better now to suit him. And ultimately, I guess we'll see who's driving next year and how what the landscape is like, and we'll see then maybe if what setups people take, and whether it is if we go back a step, if we go back to previous setups and they work for other drivers, then we have to be prepared to do that.
And what do you call it? A Central European Rally was a new round of the championship. How challenging was that? Because you're in 3 different countries, 3 different types of asphalts. What were the difficulties there by getting the car set up and getting it right for each day of the event?
Yeah, it was very tricky, and the conditions obviously added another element to it as well. So I think you have a base tarmac setup, but you have to constantly be prepared to change it and to tweak it. And conditions played probably a bigger factor than the different tarmac surfaces in that event. But that could be very different in 12 months' time. If it's bone dry, then you need to have slightly different setups for each of the 3 days. I think the stage character changed quite a bit as well, and I think the event was good. It was interesting to do that and to see how that can work and how different organizations can work together to put an event on like that. Obviously, I think it's been sort of well publicized that there needs to be certain questions raised about how you can make it a little bit more compact and try and shorten the day a little bit as well to make it more suitable for everyone, teams and drivers, and trying to keep it as safe as possible as well without doing crazy long days and long hours and then working on cars. It can be a little bit questionable at times, but yeah, obviously it's been done in the past, and that's how people sort of look back on it and say you can, they could do it then, you can do it now, and yeah, there's an element of that, and bringing back the long days, the long rally, and is interesting in small. In certain scenarios, but I think we also need to be careful about making sure that it's done in a safe manner too. So yeah, I think with some tweaks and some changes to the format, it could be an even better event. But yeah, listen, it was still well organized, and I think it did put on a good show.
And what do you call it? Japan was final round of the championship, and I suppose one issue that we saw arise for the Rally 1 cars was the fogging or the misting of the windscreens due to I think it was the exhaust, because it ran through the cockpit or into the cockpit. Was that something that was just unforeseen, and is there a fix?
be honest, if you had asked me beforehand, I thought the Puma was actually pretty good on that. I think the other cars have struggled more than us. To be honest, we've got quite a good setup, and it's tended to work quite well in very bad scenarios. Even I think there's been at least 5, 6, 7 events in the last 18 months where we've had really bad conditions on stages, and some of the other guys have struggled, and we've always been pretty much okay. But obviously that wasn't the case in Japan, and I think ultimately the issue was simply water getting into the cockpit. That if there wasn't water in the cockpit, then it probably would have been completely manageable. So that's the long and short of it. Water managed to get in one way or another, and that's what ended up causing the issue. So if we manage to prevent water from getting in, then we shouldn't have the issue in the future. about as simple as that. We can do certain things to improve it anyway from an engineering side, but ultimately if you've got a load of water in there and the hot exhaust and all the rest of it, then you're always gonna struggle. So we need to just be on top of it and make sure that that's not a possibility in the future.
Yeah. And what do you call it? I suppose it's a bit like sometimes you see it's like it's only when there's a deep water splash suddenly there's an issue, turns up with wipers or something that it always seems to be unforeseen but causes havoc.
I wouldn't possibly mention any names here, but there are also certain crews who maybe wouldn't have the heated screen or the blower on full whack at the right times to make sure that it clears quickly. But this instance in Japan, absolutely no fault can be put down to any of the crews in that instance. So they did everything they could, and ultimately it wasn't enough in this instance. So we learned from it and try and make some improvements for the future.
And looking forward to next year from a service crew point of view, there's talk of making changes to the tire fitting zones, etc., to maybe allow some sort of work to undertake there. What's your thoughts or views on that?
Mixed, I guess. Yeah, I think you can do it, no problem. But we went to central service areas for a reason as well, to try and have everything in one place rather than carting big chunks of the car all around the countryside, and then also trying to get it back in time for an even service. I think there's lots of logistical difficulties and question marks there that need to be raised and answered first and foremost. But I think if that's what it takes to bring rallying a little bit more to the people as such, and maybe some of the certainly adds an element of people being out in the stages can then go and see the tire fitting zone and then still make it back for the second pass of stages, then ultimately that's got to be a positive. But is that one change gonna fix the issue that rallying is facing at the minute in terms of drumming up publicity and making it more interesting and more exciting? I'm not sure that single change is necessarily going to fix it, but for sure there's some interesting ideas and some smart people thinking of things in the background to try and keep moving things forward and try and improve the spectacle a little bit as well.
And again, look, that's it's all well and good for a well-resourced team to do that, but again, for the likes of yourselves, you're on a very tight budget. That's only adding to costs, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a small team, and if you have certain people up there and they have to wait for the Rally 2 cars to finish their tire fitting zone, for example, and then suddenly they're only back potentially not even before the evening services started on the Rally 1 cars, and trying to get tires up to the tire fitting zone is a logistical challenge in its own, never mind if you're going to start bringing transmissions or big some of the bigger spare parts. So I'm sure that'll all be questions that are raised and answered, and ultimately if it's improving the experience for the fans, and we can do it in a reasonable manner without causing too much hassle or extra cost, then it can definitely be a positive.
And again, looking forward to next year. Titanic isn't the only one moving on from Msport to Hyundai?
Yeah, there are a few. So Seb Scott, I assume you're referring to there, is it? No, so yeah, Seb is one of our media guys who's moving on, and yeah, I will also be joining out and at Hyundai next year. So still finalising some of the details, but yeah, it's going to be a bit of a change of scenery, and let's see what happens.
Well, congratulations, Jamie. Well deserved, and hopefully you'll be allowed by Hyundai to come on every now and again and keep us up to date with 2024.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Huge thanks to Jamie. Jamie's been so good all year, touching base with us, keeping us up to date with what's happening with, you know, how the M Sport Puma has been developing throughout the year, how the challenge has gone with Tanak, and it's great news for Jamie, you know, that he is staying, that relationship staying with Oit, as they both move to Hyundai for next year. So hopefully we'll be able to keep in touch with Jamie, and he'll be able to keep us up to date with what's happening as well. Speaking of keeping us up to date, we had a chance to catch up, or I had a chance to catch up with Aoife Raftery. She's had a very busy year. She's got a lot of rallies under her belt this year in very many countries. And I thought it was a good opportunity before the end of the year just to see how the year has gone for Aoife so far. And, you know, any hint yet of what's coming up for next year? Aoife, thanks for joining us. It's a while since we had you on, so I thought coming up to Christmas, perfect opportunity to catch up with you to see how your year has been.
Hi Connor, how's things? Thanks for having me on. It's been a while, but it's great to be back. And yeah, it's been a fantastic year, so it has.
Yeah, you've certainly been busy this year. I mean, if I look down, you know, competing at home, obviously, both forestry and tarmac events, but you've been to Latvia, Poland, Sweden, you've done some WRC rounds in the UK, you've competed in the Czech Republic, and most recently in Spain. So you really have packed a lot in this year.
Yeah, look, we tried to get experience in all surfaces and in lots of different places. And it was great to be able to compete at home here in Ireland. And then also we did the Junior European Championship. So with the combination of those championships, we really got to experience a lot and kind of build on our knowledge this year.
And I suppose, what was this year about? Was it just kind of getting, you know, exposure to lots of different events and different, I suppose, surfaces and you know, locations, or was what else was behind this year? Was it just, you know, building that experience really across the board?
Yeah, it was a combination of everything. It was to get to build experience, to improve. When you go to the European events, the level of competition there is so high that it really brings you on, and you see how the teams out there competing and their approach. It's just the combination of rallying here in Ireland and competing out there. It was to build on, you know, on our foundation and keep growing and trying to improve. But it's been a fantastic year, and obviously the last couple of weekends we were out in Spain and we did a gravel rally out there and a tarmac rally, which is nice to kind of be able to do that at this time of year because things are starting to quieten down. But you know, we have, so each rally we go to, we have an aim and a focus to try and achieve something out of it. And those Spanish rallies, that we really were trying to just work on techniques that we can carry into next year and improve.
And you had two fairly solid results as well. I think you were 23rd overall in the gravel event, and then you got 14th overall in the tarmac event.
Yeah, it's they were good results, and again out there is the same as any class now. I think the Rally Fours is always a good level of competition, and that class is up to a high standard. So we were really happy with the results, and I think things are starting to come together. The gravel rally, I really liked the gravel, obviously, and it was nice to do that. I didn't expect the surface out there to be so kind of rocky and bedrocky, but again, that was something new. And then the tarmac, obviously that style of tar and the grip was so different to every country that we've been to yet again. So you're always learning something new with them.
And what do you call it? You've also had a combination of different cars this year. You've between the Fiesta R2, you've been the Fiesta Rally 4, and then the 208 Rally 4 as well, and a change of co-drivers throughout the year. So, you know, how I suppose with having that amount of change and variety, you know, does that help you, or does it kind of having to hit restart each time when you get into a new car, you get in with a new co-driver?
I think you can probably look at it both ways. The fact that, each co-driver you have, you learn something from each of them that you can always take with you to another rally. But obviously then it's also, good to be able to keep consistent and build a relationship with someone. So obviously that's something that, you try and get, but as the way it is, it's also good to be able to learn from each of them and take what they have to say, because you always learn something from each of them. And then with the cars, I think, yeah, the Fiesta R2, I was driving that last year, and for a lot of this year, especially in Ireland, most of the rallies we did was in that car. I think that car it's a brilliant car for like what it is, and it's a great car to start out in or moving up from the J1000s. Really good car. It handles really well once you get to know it, and you can really carry the speed in it. So that car I really love. And then yeah, so we had the Peugeot 28 Rally 4 in the European events. That's been, every time you get in that, it's so fun to drive. A really enjoyable car, and it's where the class is at now, and yeah, to be competing, you have to be in one of the Rally 4s for those events. But it's no, it's really good. Compared to the Fiesta Rally 4, we only did one event in the Fiesta Rally 4, and that was on gravel. I think, again, the Fiesta, it handles really well, especially I think they're really suited to the gravel. So it was nice to just kind of do a one-off event in it and see how we got on it. But no, they've improved and come on so well that they're amazing cars.
And with regard to benchmarking yourself, how are you doing that? I suppose if you're going to different competitions or different championships and you're competing against different drivers in that, maybe it's not consistently the same drivers. How are you benchmarking yourself then?
Yeah, look, every rally and every stage, you have the splits of seconds per kilometer, how far off you are from the leader, both of the rally and the leader of your class, just to give you an idea of where you stand. I think that's really important, so that when you carry on into other rallies, you can see an improvement and you know that there's progress being made.
And outside of the car, you had the opportunity to go on the radio this year as well.
Yeah. So Newstock invited me on, so that was a wonderful experience too. Something different. It was really nice, and it was great to be able to kind of share my story and rallying to probably an audience that wouldn't so often hear about rallying. So it was really good, and I definitely do it again.
Yeah, and then obviously, unfortunately, what do you call it? In the last few weeks, there, Rosemary Smith passed away, and a leading light for encouraging female athletes to come in as drivers or co-drivers into the sport. I suppose what's your views or your thoughts on how that continues?
I think Rosemary did a really good job of trying to, she was someone that, especially girls, we could look up to in motorsport and rallying. And, she had set an example that many of us would like to follow in. And I think she did a fantastic job. But I think there's the opportunity there for more girls to get involved and to compete in the sport. I think it's if the interest is there, whether it's in driving or co-driving or organizing, that, it's, if you want it, that it's there. I think that there's always going to be more. I think in the next few years we're going to see more initiatives for girls to get involved. But I do think that it's a great time to try and get involved. And with the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy, everyone's trying to make a push in rallying, whether you're a boy or a girl. But there's just the work that they're doing behind the scenes, and everyone can see it now that there's fantastic opportunities out there for people that are coming into the sport. And especially when you see the J1000 class, how big it's gotten, it's unbelievable, and it's so good to see that that's there.
Yeah, it certainly is taking off. It's fantastic. There was a photo from one of your recent events. You'd just come over the ceremonial start, and it was you could clearly see yourself and Hannah in the car, and there was some little girls, standing by the side of the road, I think with a parent or a guardian pointing and waving, and it really typified that if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah, the photo, that was a brilliant photo. It's amazing. I think when you go to the rallies as well out in Europe, you see a lot more fans, but you see a lot more females involved in the sport. Like from when you go to the rallies, let's say in Spain, the amount of female co-drivers, there's such a higher number out there, and I don't know what the reason for is, but there is a lot higher volume of females at the events. and it's great to see the little girls when you come over the ramp. It's special too.
Yeah, no, it's very good, and hopefully, it all helps and it all keeps building the momentum into encouraging more females to take part.
Yeah, definitely. Like if there's representation there, hopefully that they can see they can also do it.
Yeah, and I suppose coming to the close of the year now, like, what's been the highlight for you? What's been the most memorable event or occasion during the year?
It's hard to say. It's been a special year. Like every rally, there's been something to it. Unbelievable. I think the European Championship was a really good challenge. So tough. I'd probably put it down to maybe Bayern, Czech Republic. Just the atmosphere, the people. It was incredible. We had a fight in the rally, so like a fight for trying to get back and get a good result. But I think that's the whole rally there it's the people that supported there. It was incredible, the amount that are into the sport there, and it made it.
And I suppose over Christmas, you don't really get to switch off completely. I suppose it's still watching the nutrition, the fitness, keeping up with the MIRallyAcademy, etc.
Yeah. So we're working there with Dermot in the Motorsport Ireland Rally Academy over the Christmas. So it's nice to have that structure now, and it's a bit more easier to follow it when you're not going to rallies every weekend or every second weekend. So it's a lot easier to follow the plan, and it's the time of year that we can really work on this stuff.
So thanks very much there to Aoife. Pleasure as always, and a bit like Rosemary Smith, there's a girl going places there, so no doubt she'll do us proud next year as well. I suppose what we should be saying now at this stage is that coming near the end of the season, this will be the last episode as such, but no doubt there'll be a few Christmas treats coming up for you now over the next few weeks. We're going to wrap up the season now at this stage, but hopefully Conor will have a few wee specials coming up over the Christmas period.
Absolutely, there's a few things we're working on at the moment, and yep, absolutely, there's a bit of entertainment between that break between Christmas and New Year. We'll certainly have a few specials.
That's for sure. And we're looking forward to 2024 already. We're always thinking and plotting, trying to come up with new directions to take the podcast and new wee avenues to go down and all too. So really hope you've enjoyed everything this year, and would like to take a chance now to thank everybody, just the listeners, the guests, Conor, yourself, for all your help as well throughout the year. It's been an absolute pleasure. What can we say? It's been a bit mad. It's been a bit overwhelming, but it's been pretty special as well at the same time, hasn't it?
Look, it's been fantastic. It's such an enjoyable thing to do. It's we both love the sport. This, whilst it can be busy and take up a few nights, it's the crack's worth it, and it's enjoyable to just keep looking for something new to bring for people to listen to, whether it's new stories or catching up on old stories. Certainly I've enjoyed doing it and chatting to people and chatting to my heroes, and long may it continue.
Yeah, as great as it was, getting outreach to tell these stories, it's getting outreach channel for us to hear the stories as well too. I think that's the big part of it as well, so. Once again, just thanks to everybody, to listeners, to all the guests, and all, greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you in 2024. But just please like, share, rate, subscribe, all those things. You keep doing it. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's greatly appreciated. And until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.